Welcome to another edition of our Stay Smart newsletter and podcast, brought to you by Viciniti Corporate Housing, where we try to keep you updated on what we see happening in the industry. Coming to you from a cold winter day here in Kansas City. So we have a couple articles this week, one about the apartment industry and another one about vacation rental, short-term rental, mid-term rental markets. So first article we have is about Sonder. They kind of have a shakeup in the board recently, and they announced that the co-founder, Francis Davidson, actually was stepping down as chair of the board. He's going to stay on the board, but there's just been a shakeup in the board. It looks like this is to align with their changes with their Marriott partnership they had signed last year, a licensing agreement with Marriott International, and they're adding some 9,000 units of their supply to Marriott.com. And so I think this is more of a strategic alignment with that direction with Marriott. And then the second article we have is about something we've talked about on this podcast and in the newsletter quite a bit last year, was about the Department of Justice and their lawsuit with RealPage. There's been some conflicting reports of originally was it ended, but then it actually came out that they were expanding their lawsuit with RealPage to include 6 of the largest property management companies in the U.S., companies like Greystar, Cortland, and Camden, and others that represent over 1.3 million rental units throughout the U.S. in 48 U.S. states. So they've expanded their lawsuit. And what's interesting about this, what's not in this article, it really is the viability of this. I am wondering if, with the change of the administration, if the DOJ is actually going to continue with this. And then also, when I look at this, is my personal opinions about it, is the hotel industry and the airline industry, they've been doing things like this for decades. The hotel industry uses the STAR report. It's been around for decades, that they utilize to kind of set their pricing based on comp sets. STAR report's obviously not as detailed as probably what RealPage is providing to the apartment owners, but the concept's the same. So it's interesting. So it's an article about the expanding lawsuit with RealPage. We'll see where that goes from next or this year with the new administration. And then the next article, really kind of the biggest in the news in the vacation rental industry recently, was the announcement of Vacasa being sold to Casago. So Casago acquired Vacasa recently for roughly $128 million. Casago is a privately held company, so they're going to take the combined companies and go private. This will be interesting to see how this works out. We've talked about Vacasa previously. They've had some struggles really for the last 3 or 4 years. They've seen declining revenue and big churn with their owners. It'll be interesting to see how this alignment works. Casago is more of a franchise model, local franchise model, versus Vacasa, which was a huge property management company. It manages some like 30,000 units. So we'll see how that combined company works out moving forward. And then finally, the article, unfortunately, that we're going to be talking about is apartment rents in LA. Tragically, the fires, they're still going on in LA right now. In this article, it talks about at least 10,000 units have been affected so far. So unfortunately, these thousands and thousands of people have been displaced from their homes, and it's going to have an effect on apartment rents. This article talks about an 8 to 12% possible rent increase. I could see it even go higher than that. Unfortunately, this is just supply and demand. There already was a shortage of both single-family and multifamily rental units in LA, and over 50% of residents in LA are renters. So this is going to have a big impact on really just all of Southern California with these rent increases. There's just not enough homes to go around. I did see an article, though, that Gavin Newsom, the governor in California, was going to try to hold back some of the restrictions that have been in place on building homes in California because of sustainable reasons and things like that in the short term. So unfortunately, it's just really hard to build new units, really expensive to build new units. So I think this is going to last for some time with the rent increases, and really insurance premiums are going to go way up. This is actually something that we're going to see throughout the country in the apartment industry, because this is going to be really big, and we're going to see premiums go up, and that's going to increase operating expenses of apartments, and that'll be passed into rent. So unfortunately, with all the tragedy that's going on in Southern California, we are going to see apartment rents going up. So those are the articles that we had for our newsletter and podcast. We're going to be doing this a monthly podcast now, and the next time I will be speaking actually will be next month in sunny San Diego for the CHPA conference, their Connect event, and actually I'll be speaking at a couple of these sessions. One of these around this podcast. So if there's anything that you'd like to see me talk about next month in San Diego, please let me know. But otherwise, that's what I see transitioning now. Take care, everyone.